potted up a couple more plants in the last 24 hours. You guys enjoyed the solar eclipse. I think it ended in here in Florida about 16, 18 minutes ago. Of course, by the time this video is done, it could be hours or days. It depends on how long it takes to make this video. Sometimes I interchangeably use jewels of opar and say I'm planting Suriname spinach, and it's probably wrong. They're super closely related, but one of the reasons I guess they call it jewels of opar is they have these little seeds, and different ones will look different. Some of them almost look like little jewels there, and the kids took almost all of them off of this guy yesterday or the day before when they were out playing, but it was full. The leaves on these guys are more broad. Now this guy was actually given to me as a true Suriname spinach, so I don't know if they taste any different. I don't really find the taste of these guys pleasant. You know, more of the texture is kind of, what do you call it, mucilage or whatever you call it, where it's kind of mucusy, slimy. These jewels of opar pop up everywhere where you have them. I guess that, I don't know if the seeds explode out in the air, you know, like some of the plants, and just throw them out, but you can have this single plant here and it be in bloom, and the next year or two you see them just pop up in different flower pots and everywhere. I'm not sure about the actual Suriname spinach if this guy does the same thing. We still have a variety of figs and other things that we need to plant in the ground somewhere if we can find where we want to put. Definitely getting close to a time when we need to get this Elaeagnus autumn olive different cultivar that we have planted close to the other one, because if you recall, they claim that autumn olives are self-fertile, but we've had ours for years and years and years, and it doesn't bloom every year, but when it blooms, zero berries ever. So maybe just where it grows natively and where people normally buy these guys at nurseries, there are other Elaeagnus or other autumn olives or something somewhere. Maybe birds, bees, wasps, whatever, are traveling blocks away or miles away and pollinating those flowers. This particular variety is a Charlie's Golden, which has like yellow or golden berries. Back to the figs. I think we have 7 different varieties that we haven't planted yet. So, and we got these little pomegranates and stuff as well. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 varieties of pomegranates. We have a wonderful out back. We have a purple heart, which was just one we were trying to save, and we moved to a different area last season. We have a Afghansky, which we just planted. We have a Madavia. We have a Kazaki. And I just bought one the other day. I think it's called a Christina. We will probably plant that. Well, I guess it's a 3-gallon Christina pomegranate pretty soon. It's supposed to be a pretty tart one, and it was from a local nursery, so hopefully it'll do well in the south. This camellia is starting to bloom a second time here, and it's got a lot of bloom heads on it. 2 full flowers, another one fixing to open, and probably another 8 or 10 buds. These leggy things here, these pineapple guavas, we definitely need to figure out what we're going to do with them. Plant them out soon, and they've just been in too much shade. A lot of them have been just bottom watered for a long period of time, and they haven't had a chance to really bush out, you know, in the sun. But these are really thick. They would make a good probably grafting rootstock here. I know they suck around. A lot of people don't like to graft on multi-trunk pineapple guavas, and they kind of like to bury the graft union under the ground to prevent root suckering. But hey, you can multi-graft this. Got the 6th Street mulberry, which is a cutting, and let me see. There we go. You know, got 8 or 10 mulberries on it, and may not be quite as ripe as they can get. Maybe they need another day. Let me taste them and see what they taste like. Not super flavorful. Kind of just tastes like a wild red mulberry. This Chiang Mai 60 still has a little tiny dewberries, and this year we just haven't really been putting them in the freezer. We've just been kind of eating them fresh. I'm not a mulberry expert, but to be honest with you, I've tried a few named cultivars, even from mature trees, and did not find many varieties that taste as good as like the dwarf black everbearing that we picked from. And the one that's supposed to be black mulberry, Morris Niagara or whatever, or Black Beauty or whatever it was I got, tastes exactly the same, but it just doesn't produce. Maybe in Florida is not a good cultivar. With that said, these trees are just sticks, so maybe in a couple years they'll get bigger berries and taste different. I don't know, maybe we need another day or two of ripening on them for them to taste better. There just wasn't a whole lot of good flavor in that 6th Street mulberry. Pineapple guavas really do not like to dry out. Look at how they kind of wilt and stuff, you know, when they don't get enough water. So we have to have tubs, like cement mixing tubs, at all times to like dunk them in when they're sad like this. We've had a couple where we just kind of ignored and just watered at will, and they ended up dying. They just weren't happy. And this is probably why people say, you know, especially during the growing season and the flowering and fruiting season, you have to water them, or if they don't get rain, water them a lot, mulch them to keep moisture in, you know, or the feeder roots and stuff like that, or else they're just not going to be happy. Ones that are in the ground and the ones that will be put in the ground soon, we're either going to have to do like a post mycorrhizal bed for the ones that are already there, or do mulching on them. And I think that's going to be our next step into making these guys happier. Kids are home, mama's asleep in bed, doesn't feel good, so I'm not really able to go deep in the woods and dig and plant trees and spend a lot of time doing that. So I've been working off and on for a few hours doing this video, just going back and forth. I'll briefly talk about like when is season 2 going to end, and what would be the goal for it to end, because I do not like working in the heat of the summer, the humidity, the bugs, mosquitoes, and you know, the flooding and rain. I think right now what I'm thinking is sometime in June. I would love for that to be the cutoff for season 2 of the big projects, raised bed, you know, aged wood chip alternative beds, wetland zone 1. I would really like to acquire some more comfrey crowns, you know, which may or may not happen. And I have no idea if I can get like a bunch of American persimmon seedlings, rootstock or whatever, start building them up, whether it's for 1 season or 5, until we have enough to do some major grafting projects. So how many raised aged wood chip alternative beds do we need to work on? We got all of our citrus beds completed and everything's planted in there as far as that, other than maybe some minor plants. Woohoo! We have at least 1 pineapple guava bed near the roadway. That is a work in progress, but it still needs some tending to before we plant plants there, right? Our largest avocado tree, we have the bed there. Soon we need to work on figuring out chipping and sculpting that bed so we can plant it in the ground in that bed. We have 3 other avocados which we haven't even determined where we're going to put the beds. We have the chestnut, whether it's a Chinese chestnut or hybrid chestnut, who knows. We got 1 more left. Lastly, the soft sand pear, which we don't know what the original cultivar name is. Then we have the bed in the back that's unfinished that we've talked about possibly doing asparagus. Heavy shade, maybe it's too much shade, but we're kind of letting that work naturally. You know, we're not forcing like a fast, you know, activation on it like we have on some of these beds where we plant them out within days. You know, this could be a whole season or 2 seasons or however long we need to be. We've talked in the past, you know, a few videos back about a possible mystery bed, maybe a couple mystery beds. How about some monkey wrenches? Are we going to throw some monkey wrenches in the whole, you know, scheme of plans or whatever? I guess you just got to keep tuning in, you know, until the end of the season and see what happens. All right, take care, guys.